In this video, we explore the devastating case of Tiffany Adams. A tale riddled with mysteries until a shocking discovery flipped the entire narrative. Her vanishing would eventually reveal concealed truths, lies, and a tragic reality that shook her whole community. Tiffany was last seen on November 5, 2014. She was 20 years old and 8 months pregnant at the time. Tiffany had intended to stop by her mother's place, right next door to her father's home, but she never made it there and was never seen again. On November 7, just 2 days later, her family notified authorities of her disappearance. Sullivan, the community linked to this tragedy, sits in Hamilton Township and acts as the county seat of Sullivan County, Indiana. Per the 2010 census, its population hovered just above 4,000. Plenty of young folks aspire to leave for larger cities, and Tiffany Adams shared that same dream. After finishing high school, she learned she was expecting a child with her boyfriend, Donnie Barron. She was thrilled, always chatting about the baby and eagerly anticipating motherhood. Her joy intensified as the due date drew closer. But everything shifted on November 5, 2014, when Tiffany, then 8 months along, disappeared, forever changing her family's world. Tiffany vanished without warning. Despite searches by her boyfriend Donnie and her father Bruce Adams, no trace emerged. They called her phone over and over, but she never picked up. No one understood where she had gone or what might have occurred. Given how advanced her pregnancy was, their worry only grew. It made no sense. Expectant mothers don't simply vanish. So everyone dreaded the worst. When Tiffany Adams went missing on November 5, her father Bruce Adams didn't rush to call the police. He thought he needed to wait 48 hours before reporting someone missing, a widespread myth. Many believe there's a mandatory 24 or 48-hour delay, but in truth, law enforcement should be contacted immediately in missing person situations. Due to this error, Bruce waited until November 7 to file the report. He explained to officers that on November 5, he had left Tiffany and Donnie at his residence while he ran an errand for roughly an hour. Upon returning, only Donnie remained. Donnie then asked Bruce if he knew Tiffany's whereabouts. Donnie explained that Tiffany had headed to her mother Christina's house, just a brief walk away. Tragically, Bruce Adams wasn't Tiffany's biological father. Her real father had stayed out of her life completely. When officers questioned Christina, she confessed she had no idea where Tiffany might be. Christina stated the last time she saw Tiffany was October 30, 5 days prior to the disappearance. Given the gravity, state police joined the effort to find Tiffany swiftly. In missing persons investigations, detectives usually start by interviewing those nearest to the person. Since Donnie was the final person known to have seen Tiffany, police prioritized speaking with him. But by then, Donnie had already departed town, and his location was unknown. Donnie's abrupt exit soon after his pregnant girlfriend vanished raised serious alarms. With Tiffany unaccounted for, investigators zeroed in on two primary figures, her stepfather Bruce Adams and her boyfriend Donnie Barron. But since Donnie couldn't be located, suspicion intensified around him. News of Tiffany's disappearance spread rapidly through the tight-knit town of Sullivan. The detail that she was 8 months pregnant made the heartbreak even more profound. Tiffany had her whole future in front of her. While some wondered if she'd been taken against her will, others clung to hope she'd come home unharmed. Occasional reports of sightings surfaced, but they proved unfounded. Police ruled out the possibility that she had left voluntarily. With Donnie's location unknown, detectives scrutinized Bruce, probing what he might know. Bruce insisted he had a strong alibi, he'd gone shopping, and Tiffany had left during his absence. An officer verified this by checking the store, and records confirmed Bruce's presence there on November 5. Even so, the precise timing of Tiffany's disappearance stayed murky. Bruce maintained that he believed she was missing and swore he would never hurt her, emphasizing that he loved her as his own. He viewed it as his responsibility to join the search and stayed optimistic about her safe return. In his discussions with police, Bruce directed attention toward another possible suspect. He accused Brian, or Tiffany's stepfather via her mother Christina, of potential involvement in her vanishing. To make it clear, Bruce reiterated that he was at the store on November 5 and came back to an empty house. He also shared a vital detail with investigators. On November 5, 2014, around 1 p.m., Bruce received 3 calls from Tiffany's cell phone to his landline. In the first, he heard a male voice in the background before the line went dead. The second followed quickly, but only silence preceded the hang-up. On the third, Bruce again caught a man shouting in the background. He asserted that during one call, he heard chaos and Tiffany's voice crying out, "Dad, Dad." Disturbed, Bruce dialed her number around 10 times, but every call went directly to voicemail. He suspected the yelling man was Brian, theorizing Brian might have hurt Tiffany, as he believed Brian resented her. This became a lead investigators had to pursue. To gauge Tiffany's dynamic with her stepfather, police consulted one of her close friends. The friend revealed Tiffany never had kind words for Brian. She frequently mentioned being insulted with cruel names and said she avoided visiting her mom because of Brian. Tiffany confided that Brian forbade her from talking to her mother without the call on speaker, highlighting his controlling nature. This pattern made him a prime person of interest. On social media, Tiffany had vented frustration about her mother reuniting with Brian. In one post, she voiced anger and made her low opinion of him plain. What if Brian had seen those posts and lashed out? Could her mother have been concealing something as well? These questions lingered for detectives to unravel the web of connections. Let's clarify the relationships. At the time of Tiffany's disappearance, her mother Christina was married to Brian Orr. Before Brian, Christina had been married to Bruce Adams. Although Bruce wasn't biologically related, he had wed Christina near Tiffany's birth and raised her as his daughter. The two residences, Bruce's and Brian and Christina's, were so near that a short walk connected them, and Bruce could view their house from his backyard. Over the years, tensions had built between Bruce and the couple. On November 11, 2014, 6 days after Tiffany vanished, police executed a search warrant at Christina and Brian Orr's residence. The pair resented the intrusion, but officers sought any sign linking Tiffany to the property, evidence of a struggle or other hints to her fate. While searching, investigators spotted a security camera on a pole aimed at the home's entrance. It looked like a motion-triggered device, perhaps for wildlife or surveillance. Detectives hoped to access the footage for vital clues. But the memory card was absent, no recordings existed. Was this mere bad luck, or had someone intentionally removed it to conceal evidence? Police weighed all possibilities. Brian Orr stayed under suspicion, yet no concrete proof tied him directly to Tiffany's fate. Early on, Tiffany's boyfriend Donnie Barron was also eyed as a suspect. Bruce had first reported her missing, and Donnie was the last to see her. Yet he'd left town by then. Eventually, the sheriff located Donnie and interviewed him. Donnie professed his love for Tiffany and claimed bafflement at her sudden absence. He pondered who she might have encountered. He described his dream of raising their child together. Still, his behavior prompted doubts. Why disappear? Why not join the search or cooperate fully? There was concern he might have harmed her. Proving his location during the critical window was challenging, as he was the sole witness to his own story. A major twist emerged: Donnie wasn't the biological father of Tiffany's child. The true father was Paul Artem McHenry. In high school, Artem had been popular, tall, athletic, the type many admired. He and Tiffany dated for 3 years before splitting in March 2014. Soon after, Tiffany started seeing Donnie. She was shocked to discover her pregnancy and initially uncertain of paternity, either Donnie or Artem. Both men were closely connected, complicating matters. Most assumed Donnie was the father, given their relationship. But an ultrasound showed the timeline, confirming the baby was Artem's. Tiffany was delighted. Her history with Artem had been turbulent, and the breakup painful for both. Tiffany expressed her emotions in an October 1, 2014, social media post: "Looks like my baby boy will grow up with me, being both a mom and a dad. The dad of my child is really not worth anything. He just told me he was giving up his rights and wasn't sure if he could do it." Donnie handled the news calmly despite learning Artem was the father. Artem McHenry was questioned too. He said he was working about 30 minutes away on November 5. His alibi checked out. The hunt for Tiffany stretched on without breakthroughs until December 30, 2014, 55 days after her disappearance. Per official accounts, after she was reported missing on November 7, 2014, efforts to find her failed until two farmers in Sullivan County stumbled upon her body in a field awaiting late corn harvest. Her remains were heavily decomposed, disturbed by animals. Tiffany's red fleece jacket was knotted tightly around her neck, with a leaf inside the knot, a clue showing the jacket was secured there in the field itself. Her cell phone wasn't recovered with her. The discovering farmer initially mistook her for a mannequin, but closer inspection revealed a young woman in brown boots with dark hair. Decomposition was slower than expected, thanks to the cold weather in November and December 2014. Court records state a pathologist performed an autopsy on December 31, 2014, concluding death by ligature strangulation. One rib was fractured, likely from the attack. Heartbreakingly, the examiner determined her unborn child had been alive when she died but perished from the strangulation's effects. Investigators grappled with the cruelty. Who could do this to a woman and her unborn child? What motive could justify ending two lives, one yet to begin? Exposure to weather eroded much potential DNA and evidence, hindering the case. But phone records offered insights into her final contacts and movements. A key finding: Tiffany had texted Amber or shortly before vanishing. Brian Orr was Tiffany's stepfather and father to Jonas. Or Jonas was married to Amber, and they had a 4-year-old son Tiffany sometimes babysat. Since Amber was among the last to text Tiffany, interviewing her became essential. Amber initially said she and Jonas shared one phone, alternating use. Further probes showed frequent texts between Tiffany and Amber, making that device critical. But by the time police asked, the couple had upgraded to a new phone. Jonas and Amber claimed they rented a video on November 5. Police confirmed the rental store visit, verifying their alibi. Phone tracking showed Tiffany's device moving quickly after leaving Bruce's house, suggesting vehicle travel. Tiffany lacked a car then. Suspects centered on Donnie Barron and Brian Orr. But evidence cleared Donnie. He hadn't left Bruce's during the window. Focus turned to Brian Orr and his account. Brian and Christina said they were away working on an apartment and returned late. Cell data contradicted this. At 11:15 a.m., Tiffany's phone pinged near her mother's house. It went inactive for about 39 minutes, then reactivated in the area where her body was later found. Lake Sullivan was the phone's final ping, a pivotal clue. The question loomed: whose vehicle carried Tiffany, and was the driver involved? Deeper digging revealed Jonas had borrowed a Chevy Blazer from friend Jim Fish on November 5. Jim worked at a sawmill, where Jonas was to return it. Instead, Jonas returned it 6 hours late, blaming a breakdown. Court documents detail this further. Jonas became central. Jonas and Amber stuck to their video store story, confirmed by receipts, but the timing was later than claimed, fueling doubt. Tiffany's phone was recovered from Lake Sullivan on August 27, 2015, about half a mile from where Jonas said the Blazer broke down per Sheriff Cottam. Messages were deleted, but Indiana State Police Cyber Crimes Unit recovered them fully. Analysis showed Jonas texting Amber from Tiffany's phone. Amber didn't recognize the number. Tiffany had changed it, and didn't know it was her stepsister's device. She later realized Jonas sent them, clearing her. Amber filed for divorce in November 2015. Court records preserved the recovered texts. Pause if you'd like to review excerpts. In his initial statement, Jonas said his last Tiffany sighting was September 2014 at Dollar General during a family dispute that drew police. For November 5, he claimed the Blazer failed near the sawmill at County Road 75 East and 300 North. He flagged strangers for help. One lent a phone to text Amber. After restarting the vehicle, he drove to the sawmill, borrowed Jim's phone to call Amber again. The stranger encounter lasted about 20 minutes. Jonas denied any role in Tiffany's death. He never expected police to retrieve or recover the deleted messages, but they did. Forensic tests on the Blazer found red fibers matching Tiffany's red fleece jacket, the one knotted around her neck. Jonas was arrested and charged with murdering Tiffany and her unborn child. Investigators concluded Tiffany left Bruce's toward Christina's but found no one home. Jonas, in the borrowed Blazer, intercepted her, drove to the cornfield, and killed her. To hide evidence, he took the memory card from his father's motion camera, possibly capturing her entering the vehicle, and discarded her phone in Lake Sullivan. This exonerated Brian Orr. The strained, hostile relationship between Jonas and Tiffany likely fueled the act. Jonas reportedly despised her. He was close to his father Brian. Tiffany's social media criticisms of Brian may have infuriated Jonas. Yet the brutality against a heavily pregnant woman remains incomprehensible. Do you believe Jonas ever truly regretted his actions toward Tiffany? It's a question worth pondering. Court documents note that between August 2015 and February 2016, cellmate John Clean testified for the state. While watching a TV cold case show, Clean commented on staying silent about crimes long term. Jonas replied, "You'd be shocked at what you can live with when you have to." Clean testified Jonas admitted no remorse for Tiffany but guilt over the baby. He asked if Clean thought God could forgive him. Jonas maintained innocence at trial. In July 2016, he received 2 consecutive 60-year sentences. Tiffany Adams deserved far more: a complete life, a future, the joy of motherhood. Her story stands as a painful reminder of how fast lives can shatter and how withholding truth or failing to act can lead to irreversible loss. If this case gripped you, please like the video and subscribe. The Hidden Cases Files. We share true crime stories every night. Until next time, stay aware, stay cautious.